And then I wrote down, if I continue to drink and I continue along this path of doing the same thing that I've been doing for 49 years, what would my life look like? And it hit me. What's good, everybody? Anthony Cordova here, and today I wanted to talk about why I quit drinking alcohol for good. It's been about 7 months and I'm done, finished, finito. Before I go any further, I wanted to say that I don't want to judge anybody, or I'm not trying to condemn anybody. If you can drink alcohol responsibly and you don't have a problem with it, then more power to you, good for you. But it started to become a problem for me, so that's why I quit drinking. So how my journey with alcohol started, well, first of all, take it back. I have family members that still continue to drink now, and drinking was always really prevalent in my family, so that's the thing. Alcoholism, I think, runs in a lot of Mexican American, Chicano families, and you see it throughout the years. You have to deal with it with sometimes immediate family members as well, so you get the sense that alcohol is okay, or it's good, it's fine, it's just a normal part of life. You don't think anything of it when you're younger. But my journey with alcohol started when I was probably around 18, 19. I know when I was 18, I went to a family member's wedding, and one of my uncles, one of my family members, was sneaking me shots under his chair. We were sitting, all around different tables. It was a big event at a hall, a wedding. So he was sitting next to me at the table, and I don't remember if I asked him for a shot, but I remember him sneaking me shots of tequila under the table. And I remember just taking those shots and feeling good and feeling like, okay, this is pretty cool. And my dad was pretty much, well, he still is. He's anti-drugs, anti-alcohol. He's been sober since I was 2 years old. He went for a little while where he drank, and then one of his brothers passed away from drinking and driving, got in an accident, or actually a couple of his brothers passed away that way. So he decided to quit when I was around 2 years old, when my sister was born. So he was anti. So I remember that particular night at the wedding, I remember coming home, or actually on the drive home, I was so hungry. I remember eating sunflower seeds because I was in a drunken stupor with the shells and everything. And I remember going home and going upstairs, where we had a 2-story. My dad had the room downstairs, and me and my sister had rooms on opposite sides of a hallway, and then the bathroom was in the middle. And I remember laying in bed and getting up because the room was spinning and I was out of it. And I remember trying to make it to the bathroom and didn't make it, and just threw up all over in the hallway right outside my door. I remember going to my sister's room and trying to get her to help me, and she's like, hell no, I'm not helping you. So I remember sitting there super drunk, just scooping up vomit with shells and sunflower seeds and everything. It was disgusting. But that was one of the first times I got super drunk and super hungover the next day. Luckily, I think my dad had to work the next day. All I could remember is thinking, if he fucking catches me, I'm dead. He's gonna beat my ass. He's gonna kick my ass. I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna be in huge trouble, right? So I still lived with him at that time, 18 years old. So that was one of the first times I got hammered and got super drunk and got super sick. But I continued to drink after that. I think when I was 19, I started buying alcohol for myself. I would go into a particular store, a smaller grocery store in the little town that I lived in, and the owner's name was Pete. I'll never forget, Asian guy named Pete. And I'd walk to the back of the store where all the alcohol was at, and I would just grab my beer. Usually I just drank beer back then, or grab a bottle, and I'd go and basically pay for it without any questions asked. I was already driving by then. I had facial hair, so he never asked any questions. He just gave me my alcohol, and I'd dip and go party. And I also had a lot of older friends that were already 21, because I always hung out with an older crowd. So I would either get alcohol from them, and back in those days it was like 40s of malt liquor, so We drink a couple of those and start our little party session on the weekends. And then in the small town I was living in, that I grew up in, there's really nothing to do. You see right now I'm kind of sitting on a canal bank telling the story, but there's really nothing to do. The next town over, which was Modesto, California, there was more to do there. I remember there was an 18 and over club, but to drive over there and do all that seemed like a lot back then, when there was already little functions going on at house parties where we lived, or people would get together if it was summertime, like on a canal bank in an orchard. We just park our cars, listen to music, and chill out that way and drink. And so I had gotten probably drunk a few more times after that. But then you go into my 20s, 30s, and 40s, and I've always loved the nightlife environment. I've always loved the club scene. So I started going out when I was 21, and I'd meet girls and lay off for a little while, or sometimes I'd meet females at the club and I'd hang out with them and drink and party. And there was times in my life when I would like have a kid and I would chill out, do the family thing, and not drink as much. Especially if I had a partner that didn't drink that much, I would kind of follow suit. Like it wasn't always super prevalent in my life, but there was definitely times when I just didn't give a shit. I would do stupid stuff behind drinking, like driving drunk, like just doing dumb shit, acting out in ways that I normally wouldn't. And I think for me, alcohol turns me into a different person, where I already kind of have a carefree attitude towards life, but I really did not care when I drank. I really acted out and did stuff that I wouldn't normally do. Things like do figure 8 burnouts in one of my kind of souped up, more faster pickups that I had back in the day. I remember in particular going to this bar with a couple of friends and leaving the bar, and just my buddies like, do a burnout, because I had kind of like a souped up step-side Chevy, and I started doing a burnout, and then I started doing donuts in the parking lot, and everybody's egging me on. And I'm thinking, after that, I'm thinking to myself, like, my buddies hanging out the window, like cheering me on or egging me on, and me not giving a shit, driving pretty much the commute home, because I lived in the next town over, a couple of towns over, was like 25 to 30 miles. So, that was like a week every weekend for a lot of years. I would go to the club in the town over 30 miles away, and then go home and not think anything of it. So I put my life at risk a lot of times and not caring. I think back then, the reality of broken relationships with family members, with females, with my kids, I just didn't care that much about my safety, or about living or dying or whatever, I guess you could say. I didn't really think about it that way, because I've always been kind of, like I said, carefree in the way I approach life, and I've never been that, like, people actually always say, like, I want to be like you because you don't give a shit about anything, which deep down, honestly, I probably gave a shit more than people actually knew, or a lot of stuff bothered me, but I wouldn't let it show on the outside. I kept all that stuff inside. So whenever I would drink, I would release all that stuff, or it would be a crutch for me, or it would be a coping mechanism for me. So I did that all through my 20s, 30s, and 40s, and off and on, not all the time. There was years or months or years when I went without drinking. And then I also recently quit smoking weed, quit smoking marijuana. So that's a whole nother story. And I always told myself, oh, weed's better than alcohol, but honestly, sober is better than any substance at all. So anyway, that's a whole nother story for another video. But the benefits of me quitting alcohol have been, my life's been changing like dramatically. Recently, I'm with my new girl. We've been together for over a year already. We have a son together, which we just had him in September. And I finally, at 49, am like, you know what? there's just stuff that I want to do, like hence YouTube. I've been wanting to do YouTube for a while. Actually, I was talking about doing YouTube in one of my other videos, or when I started. I think I said I started in 2018, but it was more like 2017 or 2015 or something like that. But I wasn't able, or I wasn't clear enough on my goals because of substances like alcohol and weed. And now there's so much more clarity, and I feel healthier. More recently, like the last couple years, I've been DJing, and you get a $50 tab when you DJ of drinks. And man, sometimes I would just drink the $50, or sometimes I wouldn't drink at all, or sometimes I drink 20 or 30. But I always had to have like one or two and smoke before I got on my set, just kind of loosen up. And I'm an entertainer, so I would always, get on the mic and try to hype the crowd up more later in my DJ career. I'd get on the mic and try to hype people up to get them on the dance floor and stuff like that. But there'd be nights when I would go like $30 and $40 over my tab, so that's like 50 plus 40, that's like $90 in straight alcohol. And of course I'd be buying like top tier alcohol or more higher end alcohol, because you don't get as much as a hangover with that type of alcohol. But the thing is me and my girl just got a new place, and she's really big on spending time together and cultivating a healthy relationship. So there'd be weekends when I DJ'd Friday and Saturday, and I would just be wiped. And even on Friday, when I would DJ, if I drank heavily like that Friday, I would be freaking wiped. I'd be done. I'd be super hungover for like the next Saturday, the next Sunday. The sheriff just went by. That's why I'm looking over here. He's probably looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing parked on a canal bank and trying to... He was just looking at me like, what the hell? Anyways, I'd be wiped that Saturday and Sunday, because obviously I'm 49. I'm not a spring chicken. When you're 20, in your 20s, you can kind of do that stuff and not be as affected by it. You can recover quickly, and you kind of just keep it going. And even in your 30s, but like later on in your 40s, it's a lot harder to recover. So it would even drag on to like Monday and Tuesday. I'd be like not hungover, but just depleted of any energy, drive, or motivation for work on Monday and Tuesday. So it got to be a problem, and I started to write down. I sat down and wrote down what my life would look like without alcohol, without weed. And then I wrote down, if I continue to drink and I continue along this path of doing the same thing that I've been doing for 49 years, what would my life look like? And it hit me that, I could lose another relationship. I could lose another child. I could lose the life that I actually love and I'm trying to make better. So it made sense to me just to quit. And ever since I've quit, I've felt 100 times better health-wise, mentally. Whether you believe it or not, or like to think about it or not, alcohol's a depressant. So even a little bit of alcohol puts you in a depressed state. There's studies out there that show this. I'm not gonna go into detail about the studies, but if you look it up, Google it, alcohol puts you in a depressed state. So I didn't want to be in that state of mind anymore. As it is, I think everybody, with everything that goes on nowadays, we're kind of in a depressed state anyways, or there's a lot of stuff to deal with that if you look around and you're paying attention to what's going on in the world, it's somewhat depressing. So I wanted to be as happy as possible and as clear as possible and make an impact and help people. And I can't do that while I'm drinking. I can't even get clear on what I want to do on what the next move is for me. So that is why I quit. And I want to be able to live life to the fullest. And so for me, alcohol can't be a part of that anymore. So if you get any value or any entertainment or any type of anything from these videos, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell for me. It's an easy way to support the channel. I want to keep bringing you these videos, and I don't want them all to be about just me working on cars. Although I am gonna vlog and I am gonna still bring you those car videos. I wanted this video, these videos and this channel to be about bringing you my life story and documenting my life, and also just being transparent about the truth about who I am and what I do. So with that said, I'm out of here. I'll catch you on the next video.